Hi guys, it's Angie and I am back for my weekly cross-stitch video. If you are new here, welcome. I'm happy to have you. And for everybody else, welcome back. I am happy to have you guys too. Not quite 2 weeks. I just didn't feel like filming earlier this week. Honestly, I didn't think I would get around to doing much stitching. I spent a good portion of the last week making masks because I have kids that are heading back to school starting this next week. We are finally transitioning into partial school, so my kids will get to go to school twice a week, and only 2 of them are going back. One of them is in a special schooling program, and so it's just, he's got a routine, so it's a lot easier to just leave him in the routine he's at. And then the other child's still a little bit nervous about COVID, so we don't want to force her to go back until we're without that concern, which at this point, we still have no idea when our family is going to be eligible to receive a vaccine. So the good news though, I found out my parents are getting their vaccine on Monday, which is fantastic because my mom has blood cancer. So she is super, super high risk. And so this vaccine is going to be a huge relief. They have literally been housebound. They have quarantined more than I think I've heard of anybody quarantining, to the point where they haven't even entered a store unless it was 100% necessary. So I'm excited for that for them. They'll be able to have that thing off their plate. And hopefully that means maybe someday soon we might get to visit them again. I don't know. We'll see. So, stuff. I haven't gotten any stuff. I did make a big order. I think I mentioned it on the last video. I did make a big order from, well, it's not big. I ordered like 30 floss colors from 123 Stitch and some new needles so that I could, because I'm running low on some of the colors for Middle Earth, to the point where if I keep going at the level I have been stitching on it, I will be out of certain colors probably by the end of March. And I'm still trying not to do a whole lot of shopping, a little bit of shopping. And I had just been to the store to get, I'm going to attempt making a project bag. I have sewing skills. I know how to do some sewing. I can make curtains, I can make blankets, I can make masks. I've made a few things, pillows. I'm not amazing at sewing. Don't ask me to make clothes, but I can sew. So I thought, you know, maybe I'll try making a project bag for a few of my things. So I went to the store and I bought some stuff, but I had forgotten to pick up the floss that I needed, so I ordered floss. But that was weeks and weeks ago, and it took forever, but finally the stuff has been shipped. So hopefully that will get here soon. But that's it, and I don't really, that's not a haul that I'm going to be showing you when it gets here. Look at my pretty floss, because I don't need to. You guys know what floss looks like. So I haven't purchased anything, although I did find a pattern at Autumn Lane Stitchery, the people who did my Dark Queen of the Seas that I love. They have released a really cute St. Patrick's Day gnome. I think it's a gnome, or it's a St. Patrick's Day leprechaun or something. It's like a $6 pattern. It's supposed to be a small one. And so I think I'm going to buy it. They had a pattern in a cross-stitch magazine, and I don't subscribe to cross-stitch magazines, but it was super cute. It was 4 gnomes, and they were each holding a little sign that had an L-O-V-E, so it spelled out love, and I really wanted it. Oh, I really wanted it, but I don't subscribe to the magazine because, to be quite honest, I doubt I would stitch much that comes in them. And then, of course, I want the pattern that was in that one. So maybe we'll see. I've heard you can find them online sometimes. So like you can find back issues of the magazine online, or I don't know. I really haven't looked into it. So yeah, but anyway, I've been working homework. It's all been pretty easy. One week was stitch 1,000 on something. This last week was 1,200 stitches that I used on Giant Harry Potter because my prompts fit for that. I've done a lot of book reading. I like a variety of books. Just really quick, I'm going to go here. I like a variety of books. Sometimes I like having to think about what I'm reading. Sometimes I like being transported and I like an escape. There are a few books where I really have to pay attention, especially if I'm listening. And I tend to listen more than read because it's just, I'm not going to get through as many books if I have to sit down and stop everything just to read. That's neither here nor there. One of the prompts for reading this month was a needlecraft or needlework type book. And so I found a series of books by an author named Monica Ferris. The first book is called Cruel World, Crewel World. And I read it and I was like, oh, the characters are okay. So I decided to try the second book, and heavens to Betsy, I think I am 8 books in now. They're super fast reads. They're under 300 pages, but they have so much needlework talk, and the people in the books dislike Kreinik too. But it's fun. It's a fun little series. It's a cozy mystery. So it's simple. It's like a fluff read. So yeah, reading. I've been trying to do some stitching. I will have stats on my next video for how my February went. Did not go nearly as awesome as January as far as my numbers because life. I haven't even stitched on Magic Study in the last 2 weeks. So, oh well. Okay, what did I do though? I worked some more on Pavan. Right now I'm just trying to get the border done, so you can see I'm working more of this border. I got a lot of it done. I'm using this mainly for Stitchopoly because it's super easy if I need to count 100 stitches to get 100 of these border stitches in. So, but I did end up down here getting this motif done so that I could finish counting out. It was easier to be able to count the rest of this particular border part if I had this reference to it, because it just was. So this is getting much closer to a finish. I'm really excited. At some point you're gonna see it finished and then I'm gonna be sad because I won't have, well, I mean, I have a lot of other Long Dog samplers that I could start on. I have 3 that I purchased last year. Game of Swans, Count Your Blessings, and The Love of Two Hearts. But those are not monochromatic ones, and so I'd have to get the colors and floss, and that just sounds like too much work. I do have Pandemic though, so I could just choose my colors for Pandemic and start it, restart it, because I've already started it. Whatever, I haven't decided yet. I also have so many other patterns that I'm already working on, so I may not start anything else for a little bit, unless it's quick and easy. Okay, I'm kind of rambling, sorry. The next thing, I got my Dai stitched on Avatar, and there's the Dai. I didn't put eyes on him because in several of the photographs that I, like still shots of the show that I used, most of the, you've got Long Fang, he's the main Dai, the main head of the order of the Dai, and he doesn't wear the hat, and he's got a big black like vest coat thing over his stuff, and next to him is always the Dai soldiers, and they kind of have their heads tilted down so you don't really see their eyes. In the show, I'm sure you do, but this is what said Dai to me. This should have been a little smaller, I think, but I didn't want to do half stitches, or quarter stitches. So it ended up being a little bit bigger, but all in all, I think it turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. The next one will be E, which in the pattern was some redheaded woman that we never figured out who it was. It was not anybody that was ever listed anywhere. So somewhere, I think she was a fortune teller in one of the episodes, and I was thinking, I don't care about the fortune teller. So I am actually stitching another one that I charted myself for Boomy, because he is the Earth King, and so it's going to be Earth King Boomy. And Boomy is not anywhere in the charted pattern, but Boomy was like one of Aang's best friends as a kid, so he's got to be on there. All right, so that was Avatar. I put a lot of stitches into Giant Harry Potter, and I used this also for Stitchopoly, and then I used this to finish battling a Medusa in Magical Stitches. And sorry, my lamp is throwing shadows. There we go. So I got this side of the border done, and then started down this side, and I'm getting close. So I'm going to finish the border, and then I think I'm just going to go around the whole thing and just finish the border around the whole thing, because I am discovering that when I stitched this and then added the train, it threw all the counts off. And I somehow got off somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where. I think it was somewhere in between here and these that I added myself. I got off. And so when I come over here, I found out that the word isn't lined up exactly right. It's like 1/2 stitch off. And so these are also 1/2 stitch off, which you can't tell because I fudged it. So I decided I'm going to finish the border so that if I have to fudge anything else, at least I can fudge it within its direct line. And yeah, because I'm also, I mean, I'm adding more. Like Coral is a little too close to here, but I think I was supposed to put Coral somewhere else, and I forgot where, and so I just added him right there. I could have put him here. I think I'm going to put another flying key there. And then I've got the colors ready so that when I move the thing, if I finish this, then I'm completely done with the top. There's nothing else left to stitch unless I add something here, which I think I have to because it's a big blank spot. But over here, there's going to be like a Hogwarts letter and some pumpkin juice somewhere in here. Anyway, all of that to say, I'm going to be moving the Q-snap as soon as I finish the border on this, and I want to say 40% done, like 37% to 40% at this stage, because I still have some more done down here, so it's getting there, but there's still a lot to add. I've got to add the dark mark in there somewhere. I'm adding, obviously, the hippogriff. There's a few other things I can't remember off the top of my head, but I drew up quite a few things to add, to change. When we're done, I can go through and show off everything that I altered on this pattern. I did a couple thousand on Middle Earth, and I've got so many Q-snaps right now. I have actually run out of grime guards, so I ordered 3 more grime guards. So unfortunately, because I've been working on Harry Potter, I had to steal my Middle Earth grime guard, which is why this looks so messy. But I added a whole bunch. I ended up moving the Q-snap again, so this bottom part is all covered up because I decided I'm going to try to do a bunch up here and then start coming back down, because I don't want to be moving the Q-snap constantly, and if I'm going at the rate on this that I'm going, I'll be moving it once a week, and I don't want undue wear and tear on the fabric. So I think I'm gonna get all the way over to here and then start coming back down in the diagonal direction. So anyway, that is where my Middle Earth is, and of course I am still very happy with it and still loving it. And then I decided I needed to show Sasquatch some more love. And I mean, Sasquatch, Oh, I love Sasquatch. He is so pretty. Is he just not the prettiest? I'm sure he wants to be called pretty. But I have done about 4,000 of the 27,000 stitches required for this project. And if I don't remember how many stitches I did in January, but if I were to stop and focus solely on this piece, I could probably have him done by the summer. Right here is the start of one of his arms. I mean, I'm already, I want to say, in the 20 percentile range for this. I mean, this is mini Sasquatch. It's a Heaven and Earth Designs. The designer is David Bartholet. And it's gorgeous. I am going to say, though, that it is super confetti heavy, and that has been really frustrating because I'll start stitching one, and then I'll have to move from here to up here to finish stitching out the strand. So there's a lot of strand changes, and there's not a single color in this that has more than, I want to say, 600 stitches. So it's not, I mean, there's a lot of color in it, but each color only has a few, I mean, it's not a whole lot of each color. And then on the outside, there are so many stitches that I'm missing right now because it will be one of, I think there's maybe 30 stitches on this outside, and each one of them is a different color. Just one stitch of a different color. So, and then there's all of these little splotches that I have to do that'll be anywhere from five stitches, all different colors, to 20 stitches with maybe 4 different colors in it. And it's just, there's a lot of color changing. And so I have to be in the right mood to stitch on him. And then I have to do it in spurts. So I'll say, give myself an hour or two, and then I'll just find a color right here, and I'll say, okay, I'll stitch as many through all of this that I can find in that color. And then I do. And then surprisingly, it's working really well for me. But he is a beautiful, beautiful Sasquatch. I can't wait to get him done. I don't know where he's gonna go. Maybe above my mantle, above my fireplace, because that's where all the weird cryptids need to go, right? Now, I need David Bartholet to do a Loch Ness monster. I mean, he's already done Bigfoot. Can't he do Nessie for me? I need a Nessie, I need a Loch Ness monster, and potentially a UFO. And if I could have that, that's the trifecta for me right there. Give me all of those. I could maybe be happy with a Mothman as well, especially now that I live in Virginia. I just need to head over to that next state and go check out Mothman, because that would be totally cool. I mean, I haven't actually been Bigfoot hunting, but I've been to where Bigfoot sightings are apparent. My parents live very close to a high Bigfoot reporting area. So, I mean, we've been there. I glanced in the woods. I have gone Nessie hunting, though. I went to Scotland. If I can find the picture, I'll show you. But Loch Ness is on, well, I mean, Loch Ness is huge, but on the shores of Loch Ness is Urquhart Castle, and it is beautiful. The ruins are fantastic, and there's so much history to that castle. We got to watch a whole film before we went and toured the castle itself. We got to watch a whole film about its history, but it's awesome. And you better believe I sat and I stared out at that loch for a while. Trying to see if I spotted anything. But if you are ever interested, we flew in to Edinburgh. I'm not sure how they pronounce it, if it's Edinburgh or Edinburgh, but we flew in there, and then we rented a car and drove up to the town Drumnadrochit, and that is where the Loch Ness is, and it's gorgeous. And if you ever have the chance, you should do it. I told my husband we have to go back though because I really want to see the Isle of Skye, and I'd love to. Scotland and Greece are two of my favorite places, and I've only been to each once, and I have to go back. I have to go back and visit more of Scotland. We spent so much time in Edinburgh, and it was amazing. We just walked everywhere. And one of the things if you can't tell, I like mysteries and I like ghost stories and I like all of that. And I used to watch the Travel Channel things and Mysteries at the Museum and those things. And one of the episodes on one of them was talking about the most haunted graveyard in the world, which is, can you believe it? Now I can't even remember the name of it. Hold on a sec. Okay, so the name of the cemetery, and I can't believe I forgot it, but it's Greyfriars Kirkyard, and it's a beautiful cemetery, and there's a really great story. In fact, Disney made a movie out of the story, but there's a great story about called Greyfriars Bobby, about a policeman that had a beautiful little dog that was always with him. And I don't remember the exact story, but what I do know is that when the dog would follow him to the cemetery, I think when he was making his rounds, something along the line. I have a book. I have a cute little storybook that we purchased when we were at the gift shop there. That tells the whole story. But something about, it's one of those stories where when the owner of the dog died, the dog would still show up at the certain place. And it got to be to the point where the dog ended up passing away there, and they buried the dog in the cemetery. So you can actually see where the dog is buried. But then on top of that, outside on the sidewalk, they put together a fountain. And so people could go and a drinking fountain for people. But then on the bottom, there was a drinking fountain for dogs. And so the story is Greyfriars Bobby. So if you ever are interested in that, and I believe Disney has made a movie about it, the man at the kirkyard was telling us about it, and it was his accent was very heavy, and so it was a little hard to understand. But anyway, that is supposed to be the most haunted cemetery in the world, and people will tell tales of when they went through it on a tour, people were getting sick, or they were getting overly emotional, or they felt horrible feelings and everything. And I can understand why. I mean, if I were there at the dark, it would probably be creepy. A lot of the tombstones had skulls and crossbones and weird demon baby faces on them and everything. And they were massive, massive tombstones, and they were old tombstones. And a lot of them had like grates that were bolted and over the tops of the graves because of grave robbers. And I mean, that could be a little creepy, but I'm gonna tell you right now, it was the most beautiful place. And we were walking through the streets, and the streets are bustling with traffic, and we walked into that cemetery, and it was so quiet. It was so peaceful. It was beautiful. And I am definitely not one to actually think that just because somebody says a place is haunted, that it is. I definitely wouldn't discount anybody's experiences, but I felt nothing but peace in that cemetery. So if you ever find yourself in Scotland and you ever find yourself in that area, go. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I loved it. But anyway, I was thinking maybe that's something I ought to do, is share some of our experiences around the world, because we've been to a lot of places and we've had some fun experiences. So I will forever be grateful for the military, for the experiences that we've had. I think that's part of the reason that we get to do all those fun things and live overseas and everything, is to kind of make up for when our husbands or wives are sent away for long periods of time. I think my husband and I tallied it out that of our 21 years of, almost 22 years of marriage, I think there's about 5 years between all of the TDYs and the deployments and the work trips and everything. I think there's about 5 years that we've been apart. So that's and that's, for us, is a low number. There are many, many people. My husband's only been deployed twice. So there are many people whose husbands are deployed every other year. If you're married to a pilot, oof, your husband may not be deployed, but he's going to be gone all the time. So I definitely I don't envy anyone, and I definitely don't think that I've got it hard. I think that while I've had some hard times with it, I will forever love the experiences that we've had. I personally love being a military wife. I don't want this ride to end. I'm just gonna say that right now. It'll end eventually, but I don't want it to. My husband might think different because, you know, he's the active duty guy, but I'm not in the military. It's just him. I just follow along. And he's calling me, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and end my video, and I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.